This message comes from our 2021 lead sponsor of NPR Music, State Farm. To celebrate their surprisingly great rates, State Farm invites you to discover a surprisingly great genre that's sure to excite any listening party fan, Party Schlager. If you thought the name Party Schlager couldn't sound more German, just wait till you hear the beat. You can find this German staple in clubs all across Deutschland and in search engines everywhere. Now that you've discovered this new genre, take a minute to discover State Farm's surprisingly great rates. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ann Powers, critic and correspondent for NPR Music. Welcome to the holiest day of the year, the 50th anniversary of Joni Mitchell's Blue being released. I'm so excited to be here today with, I'm just going to go ahead and say, Joni Mitchell's greatest interpreter and friend and peer, in my opinion, and in her own right, a great artist, Brandi Carlile, my friend. Hi, Brandi. How are you?
What a beautiful intro. Thank you.
Well, I couldn't think of a better person to share this moment with and share this album with. I've shared it with you before. I was privileged to witness your own performance of this album in Los Angeles at Disney Hall a few years ago. And so we're going to launch into listening to this album. I want to tell everyone out there, please join us in the chat. I'll be in there talking with you about the record. And then afterwards, please come back because Brandi and I are going to have a conversation. But I'm going to ask you one question before we start listening, Brandi. For you, your ears, how have they changed listening to Blue? How has listening to Blue changed for you after you delved into it so deeply? As your own interpretive work?
Oh, well, after you mean after playing Blue, or just as becoming an adult and finally understanding Blue?
Well, no, after actually channeling it yourself.
It is, it's nice to listen to it so intuitively, like, to understand every drum fill and every lyric and how Joni never makes sense and nothing ever rhymes and no verse is ever the same length as the verse before it. It's fun to know that. I feel like I learned a language. That's what it feels like. It feels like I learned a language. I'm bilingual because I understand Blue.
I love it. She speaks Joni. Any tips for our listeners out there? Something they should notice as we go on this little journey together listening to the album before we start?
Yeah, I think one thing that our listeners should notice is if they know about Song to a Seagull, if they know about Clouds and Ladies of the Canyon, and if they know about what it takes to get to Blue and how observational even Joni's great work has always been, from Circle Game to Big Yellow Taxi, like you can consider Blue Joni finally introducing herself to you and asking you if you can accept her as, will you take her as she is? And, this is where you decide on this album whether to get on board with Joni and continue the journey or not.
Well, I do want to mention, because I didn't in the intro before we start listening, and I know everyone's getting impatient, but Brandi, you explored a new form of, of autobiographical work. I was going to say confession. That's such a complicated term. We can talk about that. Publishing your amazing memoir, Broken Horses, this year, which you yourself wrote, and I know you went to deep places for that. And I wonder if that experience also changed how you think about Joni as an autobiographical or confessional writer. She's so much more than that. She's not just that. But I wondered if that experience, and everyone should get that memoir if you haven't, how that might have changed your understanding of Joni.
Well, it makes me wonder how the hell she did it in her 20s. As a person that had to wait till they were 40. I'm astounded every day at Joni Mitchell's foresight and insight into herself and her femininity and her womanhood at that age. It's pretty bone crushingly honest and vulnerable in like the strongest possible way.
Well, let's get into that honesty. Let's get into that wit. Let's get into listening to the woman who wants to shampoo you, Joni Mitchell. And here it is, her album Blue.
I am on a lonely road and I am traveling, 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 looking for something. What can it be? Oh, I hate you some, I hate you some, I love you some. Oh, I love you when I forget about me. I wanna be strong, I wanna laugh along, I wanna belong to the living. Alive, alive, I wanna get up and drive, wanna wreck my stockings in some jukebox dive. Do you want, do you want, do you wanna dance with me, baby? Do you wanna take a chance on maybe finding some sweet romance with me, baby? Well, come on now. All I really, really want our love to do is to bring out the best in me and in you too. All I really, really want our love to do is to bring out the best in me and in you. I wanna talk to you, I wanna shampoo you, wanna renew you again and again. Applause, applause, life is our cause. When I think of your kisses, my mind seesaws. Do you see, do you see, do you see how you hurt me, baby? So I hurt you too. Then we both get so blue. I am on a lonely road and I am traveling, looking for the key to set me free. Oh, the jealousy, the greed is the unraveling. It's the unraveling, and it undoes all the joy that could be. I wanna have fun, I wanna shine like the sun, wanna be the one that you wanna see. Wanna knit your sweater, wanna write you a love letter, wanna make you feel better, wanna make you feel free. Wanna make you feel free, wanna make you feel free. My old man, he's a singer in the park. He's a walker in the rain. He's a dancer in the dark. We don't need no piece of paper from the city hall, keeping us tight and true. My old man, keeping away my blues. He's my sunshine in the morning, he's my fireworks at the end of the day. He's the warmest chord I ever heard. Play that warm chord, play and stay, baby. We don't need no piece of paper from the city hall, keeping us tight and true. My old man, keeping away my blues. But when he's gone, me and them lonesome blues collide. The bed's too big, the frying pan's too wide. Then he comes home and he takes me in his loving arms. tells me all his troubles, and he tells me all my charms. We don't need no piece of paper from the city hall, keeping us tied and true. No, man, oh man, keeping away my blues. But when he's gone, me and them lonesome blues collide. The bed's too big, the frying pan's too wide. My old man, he's a singer in the park. He's a walker in the rain. He's a dancer in the dark. We don't need no piece of paper from the city hall, keeping us tight and true. No, my old man, keeping away my lonesome blues. Born with the moon in Cancer, choose her a name she will answer to. Call her green, and the winters cannot fade her. Call her green for the children who've made her little green. Be a gypsy dancer. He went to California, hearing that everything's warmer there. So you write him a letter and say her eyes are blue. He sends you a poem and she's lost to you. Little green, he's a non-conformer, just a little green, like the color when the spring is born. There'll be crocuses to bring to school tomorrow, just a little green, like the nights when the northern lights perform. There'll be icicles and birthday clothes, and sometimes there'll be sorrow. Child with a child pretending, weary of lies you are sending home. So you sign all the papers in the family name. You're sad and you're sorry, but you're not ashamed. A little green, have a happy ending. Just a little green, like the color when the spring is born. There'll be crocuses to bring to school tomorrow, just a little green, like the nights when the northern lights perform. There'll be icicles and birthday clothes, and sometimes there'll be sorrow. The wind is in from Africa. Last night I couldn't sleep. Oh, you know it sure is hard to leave here, Carrie, but it's really not my home. My fingernails are filthy. I've got beach tar on my feet, and I miss my clean white linen and my fancy French cologne. Oh, Carrie, get out your cane, and I'll put on some silk. Oh, you're a mean old daddy, but I like you. Fine. Come on down to the Mermaid Cafe, and I will buy you a bottle of wine, and we'll laugh and toast to nothing and smash our empty glasses down. Let's have a round for these freaks and these soldiers, a round for these friends of mine. Let's have another round for the bright red devil who keeps me in this tourist town. Come on, Carrie, get out your cane. I'll put on some silk. Oh, you're a mean old daddy, but I like you. I like you, I like you, I like you. Maybe I'll go to Amsterdam, or maybe I'll go to Rome, and rent me a grand piano and put some flowers around my room. But let's not talk about fare thee wells now. The night is a starry dome, and they're playing that scratchy rock and roll beneath the Macklemore moon. Come on, Carrie, get out your cane. Put on some silk. I'll put on some silk. You're a mean old daddy, but I like you. The wind is in from Africa. Last night I couldn't sleep. Oh, you know it sure is hard to leave here, but it's really not my home. Maybe it's been too long a time since I was scrambling down in the street. Now they got me used to that clean white linen and that fancy French cologne. Oh, Carrie, get out your cane. I'll put on my finest silk. Go to the Mermaid Cafe, have fun tonight. I said, oh, you're a mean old daddy, but you're out of sight. Songs are like tattoos, you know I've been to see before. Crown and anchor me, or let me sail away. Hey blue, there is a song for you, ink on a pen. The skin, an empty space to fill in. Well, there's so many sinking now, you gotta keep thinking you can make it through these waves. Acid, booze, and ass, needles, guns, and grass, lots of laughs. Lots of laughs. Everybody's saying that hell's the hippest way to go. Well, I don't think so, but I'm gonna take a look around at the blue. inside, a foggy lullaby. There is your song from me. Sitting in a park in Paris, France, reading the news and it sure looks bad. They won't give peace a chance. That was just a dream some of us had. Still a lot of lands to see, but I wouldn't want to stay here. It's too old and cold and settled in its ways here. Oh, but California, California, coming home. I'm gonna see the folks I dig. I'll even kiss a sunset pig. California, I'm coming home. I met a redneck on a Grecian Isle who did the goat dance very well. He gave me back my smile, but he kept my camera in a cell. Oh, the rogue, the red rogue. He cooked good omelettes and stews, and I might have stayed on with him there, but my heart cried out for you. California, oh, California, coming home. Oh, make me feel good, rock and roll band. I'm your biggest fan. California, I'm coming home. When you're walking and the streets are full of strangers, all the news on you read just give you the blues, just give you the blues. So I bought me a ticket, I caught a plane to Spain, went to a party down a red dirt road. There were lots of pretty people there, reading Rolling Stone, reading Vogue. They said, how long can you hang around? I said, a week, maybe two, just until my skin turns brown. Then I'm going home to California, California, I'm coming home. Oh, will you take me as I am, strung out on another man? California, I'm coming home. Oh, it gets so lonely when you're walking and the streets are full of strangers. All the news at home you read more about the war and the bloody changes. Oh, will you take me as I am? Will you take me as I am? Will you take me as I am? Take me as I am. Will you take me as I Look out the left, the captain said. The lights down there, that's where we'll land. I saw falling, star burn up above the Las Vegas sands. It wasn't the one that you gave to me that night down south between the trailers. Not the early one that you can wish upon, not the northern one that guided the sailors. Oh, star bright, you got the loving that I like, alright. Turn this crazy bird around, I shouldn't have gone this flight tonight. You got the touch so gentle and sweet, but you got that look so critical. Now I can't talk to you, baby, I get so weak. Sometimes I think love is just mythical. Up there's the heavens, down there's the town. Blackness everywhere and little light shine. Oh, blackness, dragging me down. Come on, light the candle in this poor heart of mine. Oh, star bright, you got the loving that I like, alright. Turn this crazy bird around, I shouldn't have got on this flight tonight. I'm drinking sweet champagne, got the headphones up high. Can't numb you out, can't drum you out of my mind. They're playing goodbye, baby, baby, goodbye. Love is blind. Up go the flaps, down go the wheels. I hope you got your heat turned on, baby. I hope they finally fixed your automobile. Hope it's better when we meet again, baby. Star bright, you got the love that I like, alright. Turn this crazy bird around. Shouldn't have got on this flight tonight. It's coming on Christmas. They're cutting down trees. They're putting up reindeer and singing songs of joy and peace. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. But it don't snow here. It stays pretty green. I'm gonna make a lot of money, then I'm gonna quit this crazy scene. I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long I would teach my feet to fly. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I made my baby cry. He tried hard to help me, you know. He put me at ease, and he loved me so. Not he made me weak in the knees. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I'm so hard to handle. I'm selfish and I'm sad. Now I gone and lost the best baby that I ever had. Oh, I wish I had a river I could skate away on. I wish I had a river so long I would teach my feet to fly. Christmas. They're cutting down trees, they're putting up reindeer, singing songs of joy and peace. I wish I had a river I could skate away on. Just before our love got lost, you said, I am as constant as a northern star. And I said, constantly in the darkness, where's that at? If you want me, I'll be in the bar. On the back of a cartoon coaster, in the blue TV screen light, I drew a map of Canada, oh Canada, with your face sketched on it twice. Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, and I would still be on my feet. Oh, I would still be on my feet. I am a lonely painter. I live in a box of paints. I'm frightened by the devil, and I'm drawn to those ones that ain't afraid. I remember that time you told me, you said, love is touching souls. Surely you touched mine, 'cause part of you pours out of me in these lines from time to time. Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling. Still I'd be on my feet. I would still be on my feet. I met a woman, she had a mouth like yours. She knew your life, she knew your devils and your deeds, and she said, go to him, stay with him if you can, but be prepared to bleed. Oh, but you are in my blood, you're my holy wine. You're so bitter, bitter and so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling. Still I'd be on my The last time I saw Richard was Detroit in '68, and he told me all romantics meet the same fate someday. Cynical and drunk and boring someone in some dark cafe. You laugh, he said, you think you're immune. Go look at your eyes, they're full of moon. You like roses and kisses and pretty men to tell you all those pretty lies, pretty lies. When you're gonna realize they're only pretty lies, only pretty lies, just pretty lies. You put a quarter in the Wurlitzer, and he pushed 3 buttons, and the thing began to whir. And a barmaid came by in fishnet stockings and a bow tie, and she said, drink up now, it's getting on time to close. Richard, you haven't really changed, I said. It's just that now you're romanticizing some pain that's in your head. You got tombs in your eyes, but the songs you punched are dreaming. Listen, they sing love so sweet, love so sweet. When you gonna get yourself back on your feet? Oh, love can be so sweet, love so sweet. Richard got married to a figure skater, and he bought her a dishwasher and a coffee percolator, and he drinks at home now most nights with the TV on and all the house lights left upright. I'm gonna blow this damn candle out. I don't want nobody coming over to my table. I've got nothing to talk to anybody about. All good dreamers pass this way someday, hiding behind bottles in dark cafes, dark cafes. Only a dark cocoon before I get my gorgeous wings and fly away. Only a phase, these dark cafe days.
Welcome back. Ann Powers, critic and correspondent for NPR Music, and I'm here with Brandi Carlile. We have had the sublime experience of listening to Joni Mitchell's Blue together on its anniversary day, an international holiday. I feel good. I feel enriched. We just heard the last time I saw Richard. And how are you feeling, Brandi?
Really, really inspired and grateful for that album and everything that it means to the world and everything that it means to me.
Well, let's talk about your journey with Blue. I know that you have a story that you shared before of how you felt you didn't really understand Joni, but it was this album that, and your wonderful wife, Catherine, who brought you to this experience. So tell us that story again.
Yeah, T-Bone Burnett tried to play Blue for me first when I was in my early 20s. I was in the studio with him making the story, and I didn't even get past All I Want, because the line, you know, I want to talk to you, I want to shampoo you, comes along, and I'm just like rolling my eyes at this point. I'm like, oh God, that is the most trite, ultra feminine, heteronormative. I just can't even with that. And like the fact that he was playing that for me right then and there when I was wanting to make a record that was, I wanted to be tough, you know, I wanted to scream and yell and have a wide gate and an electric guitar, and that made me think he was really on the wrong track. And I didn't want it in my psyche in that moment in time. And cut to, I'm getting ready to turn 30, and I've met the love of my life, my wife, Catherine, and we met in northern Michigan, a place called Interlaken, to see if we were going to be something, because she's a Londoner, so we weren't getting to spend very much time together until we were conscientious about it. So we each bring an album to play for each other, which is like the true test of, you know, whether it's going to work out. And she played Blue, and I got to that lyric and I started laughing. She's like, what? And I was like, oh God, I want to talk to you. I want to shampoo you. This is the lyrical visionary. This is our Shakespeare that everybody talks about. And I was just laughing and making light of it. And she was like, what is it that you think is so, you know, weird about that, or not great about that lyric? And I was like, it's not very tough, and it just feels really submissive, and, you know. And she's like, you never listened to past that moment, that song, and like, you cannot judge Joni by any lyric, but I'm going to change your perspective on, you know, in that lyric. Do you know what Little Green is about? And I was like, no. And I'm going to assume everybody watching this does know what Little Green is about. So she told me, played it for me, and it blew my heart wide open. And then she didn't talk to me. Not because she was mad, I think because she wanted me to sit with that album. We listened to the whole thing in silence. And I suddenly realized, like, if this is the next stage of my life, if I'm in love, if I'm moving on to some other realm, I need to reconsider what's tough and what femininity is.
Radical vulnerability. I mean, on your tour, your virtual tour for your memoir, I believe you did an event with Brene Brown, did you not? I think. Yeah. So I wonder if you think of Blue in connection to similar ideas of vulnerability that Brene is expressing in her work.
I do. And I also take comfort in the fact that I'm not the only one that got so uncomfortable by Joni Mitchell's vulnerability that I turned my back on it for a decade. It's radical, and it's not supposed to be taken lightly. And so I'm glad that it found me when it was supposed to find me.
And it became such a cornerstone of your and Catherine's relationship. Do you still, do you have a day or an evening, an anniversary of listening to Blue? Do you share that with her? Well, now you share much more Joni experience, which we can talk about with her. But have you sat with her recently and listened to Blue with Catherine?
Me and Kat?
Yeah.
You know, if I'm really honest with you, we listen to it basically every day. So it's not every day, at least every other day. It's on all the time. It's just one of those things where it's in constant rotation in our house, and it makes us feel good, and we dance and we play with the kids, and they know all the words. And it's just like, it's such a soundtrack and a narrative of our life.
I love it. That's so romantic.
But now it's not the only one. Now it's like, it's Hajira, and it's The Hissing of Summer Lawns, and it's Ladies of the Canyon, and For the Roses. It's all of them now.
So Blue was the work, though, of Joni's that you decided to take on. And, you know, really, you know, we're both from Washington State, and we know a lot of mountaineers, and this is sort of like the 7 summits, you know, this is like all of them in one. You're climbing the mountain. So let's talk about that experience. You as a musician approaching Blue, and I got to witness some of the rehearsals and the performance, and, you know, I have many questions, but let's just like hone down to the essence, like the process of making that decision, and then kind of moving toward the moment of your genuine triumph when you performed it. And Joni was there, by the way.
Joni was there. You saw in the rehearsals like what I went through and the honor and the anxiety. And I'm such a PNW Northern sociopath. I was bursting into tears. It was something I don't know why I wanted to do it until it was finished. I thought it was important to do because I had just seen Joni turn 75, and I saw all these people interpret, music from her entire catalog and the whole arc of her career. But I thought about Blue and what it was to me and what it is to so many people. It's like holding up a mirror in front of themselves and coming to terms with themselves. And I thought, man, maybe I could just like, as a gift, just learn Blue, not try to reinvent the wheel, and obviously not try to be Joni either, because that's not physically possible, but get as close as I could, remove as much ego as possible, and just give people Blue, and that's what I did. That's what I wanted to do. But just like everything Joni, it was such a journey.
It was an amazing journey, and it was an amazing night. And I think people did feel that gift. And one of the things you did was put together an amazing group of musicians, including the Hansroth twins, who were part of it, of course, but also John Coward, who led the group and who has worked with Joni in the past, along with Brian Blade, and Russ Kunkel played drums. And that leads to me asking you about the instrumentation on this album and your insights into it, because of course Russ plays drums on the only songs on this album that have drums. There's 3 songs on the album that have drums. So this album's instrumentation is very particular. It's spare, but it's also carefully arranged, I think. And how do you hear it, the arrangements?
I imagine that people that don't listen to it every day hear it and how they remember it at times.
Yes.
So you don't think there's only drums on 3 songs because it's so groovy and there's so much rhythm in it. But it's even more spare than you think, because you never felt like it was lacking or naked either. It's just kind of this perfect album where, until you start deconstructing the layers and the instrumentation, you realize that what makes it sound so full and so groovy and so revolutionary is just total cohesion.
Yes.
And so all the players are like really important. And if you talk to people who are, molecularly and intimately aware of what's happening in Blue, they want to talk about it in really surgical, really technical terms. I remember James Taylor calling me at the airport and keeping me on the phone for over 45 minutes because he was so meticulous about the guitar part that he played that he wanted to make sure it was perfect. The tuning, the timing, where the mic placement was, because he couldn't be there. He had a dental surgery and it was crushing him. And so I listened to all this shit, not knowing anything of what he was saying. I didn't understand any of it, but I'm like, got it. Absolutely. John Cowherd did understand it though, fundamentally, and was able to put the right player and the right elements in place to do James justice. But the point is that people are so passionate about what went into making Blue and why it might be the greatest record of all time.
It very well. It's definitely in the rotating #1 spot for me. And of course, it won our Turning the Tables 150 Greatest Albums by Women poll of a few years back. Speaking of numbers, streaming is a strange thing. And I'm sure you, as an artist, probably sometimes look at the most popular songs of yours that are streaming and you're like, really? But the most popular song streaming from Blue is A Case of You. And I think I can understand that. This is across streaming services. I did a little research. I think I can understand that, but I have my opinions about why that might be true. But I wonder what you think it is about A Case of You that appeals to so many people. Why is that the one that stands out?
I mean, I just wrote, you're asking the right person, because that's my favorite song. And, I just wrote like an essay on A Case of You with why I think it is. I liken it to Hallelujah.
Fair.
It's so specific.
Yes.
In what it's saying. I mean, Hallelujah is biblically and historically accurate. It's so
Right.
specific. But what hallelujah means to me is me coming to terms with my faith and my queerness, and that tension that's in that juxtaposition.
Right.
A Case of You is similar in that it's so specific that, you know, from Prince to James Blake to me, you're watching these artists, you know, American artists squeeze their eyes shut and sing "Oh Canada" like they mean it.
It's true.
It's so specific that it means a different thing to each of us. And it's because like when you are interpreting, when you're singing and you're telling the truth, you know it. And it doesn't really matter whose truth it is.
Well, I
Mm.
love that you mentioned Leonard Cohen, because of course the song is supposedly about Leonard Cohen, who was an early mentor and lover of Joni's, and but also about James Taylor, though, kind of merging. And there, you know, Joni, I think, such a driven to be an artist at every moment of her life, often connected intimately with her collaborators. But I also feel like the thing about, and maybe that's makes me want to say what I think is one of the drivers behind the song, and this is meant to stress the profundity of the song. This is not at all, it's going to sound like, oh, you're just reducing it to something, but to me this expands and explodes it. To me, it's the most sensual and erotic song on the album, because, and it's about stamina. It's about I can match you in passion, and I know nothing and care nothing about the intricacies of those relationships, but I think you were talking about when you first heard Blue and how it felt so feminine. To me, that is a moment when Joni kind of like goes beyond the stereotypical feminine, and she is like, that is like full on rock and roll, sexual, sensual. I could drink a case of you and still be on my feet. That's what I hear in it.
It's amazing because it's like I hear a totally different thing, and this
That's
is
so interesting.
yeah, you know, it's like I met a woman, she had a mouth like yours, she knew your life, she knew your devils and your deeds, and she said, go to him, be with him if you can, but be prepared to bleed. But then she ends the song by saying, but I could drink a case of you and still be on my feet. And the way I hear that is I can love you endlessly and still hold on to every bit of myself.
Oh, I
Like,
love it. I love that.
and we can love each other, but I won't find the ground for you. And it's interesting because I see it as such like a strength.
Oh, absolutely. No, it is strength. It's just, you know, it's maybe it's all things, I think, you know.
It's amazing
I
that we
mean,
see it differently, you know? It's because it's like that's why it's like hallelujah in that way, you know.
yeah, no, totally. And you know, the second most popular streaming song on Blue is California. And speaking of James Taylor, he plays on that song. Russ Kunkel plays on that song. And also speaking of perhaps interpretations and misinterpretations, perhaps I am, who knows, we can all interpret and misinterpret as we want with this album, because it's such a rich text.
Mhm.
My funny story about California is, for several years, possibly a decade, I thought when she said, I'll even kiss a sunset pig, I never been to LA, and I was convinced there was a statue of a pig like near the Troubadour, which I knew about.
Me
That
too,
there,
actually.
I didn't know that was a way of talking about a police officer.
Oh, is that what she's saying?
Yes, she said it's
I
about
thought
like,
it was some landmarky thing like the Pike Place.
I know, me too. I was like, right, exactly. No, that's exactly. See, Washingtonians, we have our have our landmarks. But no, it's a line. Actually, it refers to the riots that happened on Sunset Strip, the alleged riots that happened, that were kids protesting police officers kind of getting in their face about being out at night. So that's sort of where it comes from, I think. But what about that song California? Because that's an interesting song on the record. Many of the songs on the record, not all, are so, they go to such a deep and maybe dark place. You know, the most famous quote from Joni about this record is, I was like a piece of cellophane. That's how transparent my emotions were. But California, it's like a top down drive to the beach kind of song. So I don't know. What's that for you, that song?
I mean, I've had the privilege of going and sitting across from Joni while she plays her solitaire and drinks her wine, and she tells you the stories of the Greek and Isle, and she tells you the stories of meeting the drifters and the bohos, and it's like remarkably vibrant. You can tell it's accurate. And so I feel like when I'm listening to that song, like I'm sitting across from Joni and she's playing her solitaire. She's telling me about the guy that could cook real good, you know. It's like that's who she really is. So to me, that even if it doesn't is not as vulnerable, it's definitely self-revealing, because that shit, it happened. You can tell.
It's the adventurer, you know, that I think that's another thing about this record, that, you know, this was a time, kind of late 60s, early 70s, when all these texts are emerging, whether they're novels or films about like women adventurers. You have Erica Jong, Fear of Flying, you know, soon you have the film Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. You have these, like, this image of the free woman, but the complexities and difficulties and oppression that free women face. I mean, for me, that's another important theme on Blue.
Yeah, and it continues, I think, off of Blue and throughout her career, as she did wilder and wilder things and took breaking down cars across the country, you know, long after Blue had come out. She has stayed so boho and free.
Absolutely. And you've been hanging out with Joni a lot in recent years, and you've actually been working a little bit with her on her archive. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's been like?
Well, I'm not really working with her on her archive any more than just listening to her stories sometimes and letting her play stuff. I think the fun thing about Joni's archives are that, like, I think a lot of people would assume that, you know, a 76-year-old performer that we don't hear a whole lot from, you know, doesn't do a lot of press or perform much and is really quite happy being a painter, although not lonely, is that she's doing this herself. And it's completely fueled by enthusiasm, innocence, and kind of an affection for her younger music and younger self that you kind of always hope Joni would have, and she really has it. So it's fun listening to her embrace her early self and smile at her lyrics and laugh, and there's a lot of joy in it. So when people are getting these archives, like, they're getting something that Joni Mitchell is going through meticulously in her kitchen.
Amazing to be in that kitchen. And you recently saw Joni. I think you were telling me a story before we gathered with our friends here, and I'd love for you to share that story, because it's a high point, and it would be a high point in anyone's life. So,
well, I would love to share it. I haven't told anyone about it yet, and I'm still getting my head around it. So it only makes sense that I would be telling you first. And I had, like, my 40th birthday, I was in LA, and, you know, COVID's over in terms of Joni's world. She's vaccinated, and her friends that we jammed together over at Joni's house, we're all vaccinated. So we were like, should we get back together and do a jam again? So we did. We got to Joni's house, and Elton John was there, and it was really, really fun. But they put 40th birthday balloons around the house, and they sang me happy birthday and gave me a present. And I got this big gift, and I thought it was going to be a blown up photograph of, like, Blue, the show, or, you know, one of our jams or something like that. And so I start unwrapping it, and I pulled back the first bit of wrapping paper, and I saw paint, and I realized that I was being given Joni paintings. And it was just, I was speechless, like I am now. It totally took my breath away, made me want to cry, which I didn't do. And so she called me over to explain it to me, and she said it was called The Shaman. And she's like, if he's over here in the right hand corner, I went through an abstract phase in the 80s, and this is him doing his mojo. She goes in his mojo, and she looks me in the eye in this really rare way that she does, and she goes, there's a lot of blue.
I think that has to be the final word on our listening session. Brandi, it's so great to virtually see you. I hope to see you in the flesh soon. And to everyone out there, this is, this is a special album to share. It's a special album to listen to alone. There it is. Oh my goodness. And if you can catch Brandi's interpretations of the album, they're beautiful. But but I think we should make this a national holiday myself. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess a North American holiday. Canada has to be in on it too. So
Oh, Canada. Oh, with your face sketched on it twice.
thank you so much, Brandi.
You.
Bye, everyone.